Good morning. I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church, right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on the set of what's happening in our neighborhood. And today, my special guest is Shawnee Daigle. Welcome, Shawnee.
Thank you.
Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you said, I'm Shawnee Daigle. I'm the broker and owner of Champions Realty. We're located in Beaumont, Texas. However, we are members of both the Beaumont Board of Realtors and Houston Association of Realtors. So we cover all of Southeast Texas as well as Harris County. I've been in the business for going on 11 years now. However, I've been in the industry longer than that because I started off as a loan officer with the mortgage company in Spring, Texas, before deciding to go back, get my real estate salesperson's license. I worked as a realtor for a number of years for a local real estate company. Then I went back to school, got my broker's license, and opened Champions Realty.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about the current real estate market right now. What's happening? What's going on in this market?
Well, Beaumont right now is a seller's market. There's definitely a shortage of housing on the market. We're looking at 89 days as the average days on the market, between 151 to 152,000 as the average sales price.
Okay, so I don't need to cut you off, but when you talk about seller's market, so those who own homes right now, this is the best time to get into the market.
Absolutely correct. Right now, people are actually getting into bidding wars. We're seeing multiple offers on properties. So, of course, it's kind of difficult for those that are looking for housing. However, there are some things that we'll talk about later that are up and coming.
So now, and then you said that on average, it takes about 89 days from the time you start the sale and the time the sale is complete.
Well, from the time that someone may list their property to the time it's complete. Normally, if you're looking at just closing from time contract is put in on a house to the time it's closed on is normally 30 to 45 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you said the average pricing is going for what right now?
Between 151 to 152,000.
And what kind of square footage of a house that might be?
And that ranges. You may see anywhere from 1,500 up to over 3,000. So it just depends.
Now, are you seeing that this is going to be a projected growth in that area for a while now?
As far as?
How long is this market going to last?
Well, we're not the only ones. There's other realtors that I have talked to in different areas, even outside of the state of Texas, that are looking at a seller's market right now. So I think it's just something that's not localized to this area. Hopefully it will last for a good while.
Okay, so for those who are watching, tell us about the buying market and the buying process.
Well, the question that I get from a lot of people is, I want to buy a house, I don't know where to start. One of my big things is education. I think a lot of people spend time actually selling, buying, but no one takes the time to educate the public on the real estate process. And unless you've went to real estate school, most people don't have a clue. So my thing is to take time and educate people.
Okay, so I got you here on the set, so let's educate the people on this process.
Yes. Basically, where you want to start, I have people pick up the phone and say, I want to look at a house. That's not where you want to start, actually.
No, hold up. I thought that's where, I'm interested now. I'm ready to go. Look, show me a house.
Where you want to start is you want to contact a bank, credit union, or a mortgage broker to get pre-approved.
Okay.
And the reason why we tell people that is not because we're trying to get in your business. It's because if you go out and find a home you like, you cannot put an offer on that home until you have a pre-approval letter. So let's say you fall in love with the home of your dreams, and then you realize you don't have your pre-approval. So you have to go back to the mortgage broker and start that process. Meanwhile, someone comes along that does have their pre-approval letter.
And snatched the house.
They've snatched the house. So now we're trying to save you a lot of disappointment, as well as the pre-approval will also let you know how much house you can afford. So it's narrowing down your search. So you're not looking all over the place, looking at houses, getting your hopes up on something you possibly can't afford.
Okay, so those who are watching, the first step is to go to a banking institution and get the pre-approval. What's the second step?
And let me back up and say this. You can call an agent and say, hey, do you know of a lender that's a good lender? Because certainly we do have relationships with lenders. I have one that I've worked with for over 7-8 years. He's awesome at what he does. So we are able to guide you in the right direction as far as your choice of lenders and who can help with what.
Okay, so what's the after I get the banking institution in place, then what's my next step after that?
Then your next step is you let me know which properties that you're interested in as far as how many bedrooms you need, what area of town you would like to be on. And then I can go into our multiple listing system, pull properties according to those specifications, email them to you. You'll be able to look through them, decide which ones you're interested in, and then we'll go out and start taking a look at homes.
So if I'm a newlywed couple and we just started a family and I'm looking for a family neighborhood, so all I have to do is tell you, okay, I have small kids. Put me in an area where there's families, and you can find that for me.
That's right, absolutely. The more detail that I know, of course, the better job I can do for them. So I tend to like to have a conversation, find out what's important to them. If you have small kids, of course, you want to be in a good school zone. So all of those things sort of come together to make the big picture work.
Now, do they have to sit down with you, or can this be a telephonic interview to get that information? Or
Either way.
Okay.
With today's technology, absolutely, it makes it possible to be able to have these conversations over the phone, by email. We use electronic signatures, so even with contracts, people are able to sign right online.
Okay, so my first process was finding a financial institution.
Yes.
My second is to give you the details on what I'm looking for. What's the next step in the process?
After that, then we'll actually sit down. If you find the home that you love, then we'll sit down and talk about the details. What are we going to put in our offer? What do you want to offer? Do you need closing cost assistance? Do you want the seller to pay for the title policy? All of those things are taken into consideration.
So a person can negotiate the closing costs and all the other financial arrangements at the, during the process?
Absolutely. All those things are negotiable. So we'll talk about all of that. We'll decide exactly what we want the offer to look like, and then we'll fill out the offer contract, submit that to the seller's agent, and wait on a response from them.
Now, okay, so if my banking institution give me X amount of dollars that I could go out and purchase a home, would you recommend that I start there at the top, the final price that they gave me? Tell us how you would work that process.
Well, let's say that your mortgage broker says you can qualify for $250,000. We don't want to start off maxing you out, because then you don't have anywhere to go from there. So we'll start trying to find something that's more affordable. I tell people there is a 28-36 rule that lenders go by, and basically what that is that your mortgage payment, taxes, insurance should not run over 20% of your overall income. The 36 part of that rule is that all of your bills, your monthly bills, should not run over 36% of your income. So you definitely want to stay in those guidelines.
So that will determine how much I can afford.
That's correct.
When I'm looking at purchasing a home. Yes. And you call it the 20-36 rule?
28-36.
28-36.
Yes.
So 28% of my income should be for
your housing expenses, mortgage, insurance, taxes.
And the 36% is for what?
All of your monthly bills.
All of my monthly bills. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So all right. So let's talk about, once I negotiate, is there any other step in that process? We got the financial institution. We sat down and talked to you about, what kind of home we want. We talked about, now we're starting to negotiate. What's the next step in the process?
Then once we get a response back from the seller, and they can accept the offer as is, they can counter back, or they can decline the offer. So we have to be ready for all of those things. So let's say that they come back and they counter offer. Then we go back and forth negotiating the terms until it's a suitable arrangement for both parties. After that, as part of the contract, we also put in an option period. That gives you time to have your inspections done. And within that 10 days, let's say something comes back on the inspection that you're not comfortable with, You can back out of the contract and still get your earnest money back. Or if you decide in that 10 days you found something else that you really like better, you still can get out of the contract and get your earnest money back.
Now, as the person's agent, you are the one who are their spokesperson, so you're the one that's actually interacting with the seller.
The seller's agent.
Okay.
Correct. I represent the buyer, and the seller's agent represents the seller.
Okay.
And that's the confusion that a lot of people have too, because they think if they see a sign in the yard of a property that they have to call that agent. You do not. That agent is representing the seller, not you. You need to get your own agent.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, that's a good point, because you want somebody negotiating for your best interest, and that's where you come in at. You will be negotiating for the buyer's best interest.
That's correct.
Wow. Okay, is there any other steps in this process that that the people who are watching need to know?
Yes, after the 10-day option period, then that's where everything really gets kicked off. The lender will order an appraisal of the property to make sure that you're getting the value for the money that you're paying. The title company will open a survey as well as do a title search on the property to make sure there's no liens, that the person is the valid owner of the property and can sell the property. And your lending institution will go through underwriting, which is to make sure that all of your items are in good shape and that you can actually purchase the property.
So what kind of finances should a person have going into this process? How much should they have for a down payment? And then we'll talk about closing costs and things of that sort.
Well, it just depends. If you're looking for down payment and closing costs all run together, a rough estimate is normally between 5 and 9% of the sales price of the property.
So if I'm looking at a $250,000 house, I'm looking at least $25,000
between down payment and closing costs. Now, there are programs out there that will help you with down payment and closing costs. You need to make sure your lender is familiar with the programs that are out there that may help you. There are local, state, and federal programs, depending on what job you have. There's also programs like the T-SHAC program that helps firefighters, police, nurses, teachers, a number of individuals. There's also programs out there for people that are low to moderate income. However, if your lender is not familiar with those programs, then you won't have access to them.
Okay, so is that part of your responsibility to tell your client that, hey, listen, here's some programs that are out there for you that.
Yes, and that's why I said it's always a good idea. You can give me a call initially and ask me, okay, do you know of any lenders that may be familiar with programs that can assist me in down payment and closing costs?
But on average, the person should be looking for at least a 9%, and I rounded it up to 10% on a $250,000 home that they need to have. Now that was a change recently when the market fell a few years back, that the banking institutions made a change in how they finance homes.
Yes, they did. You used to be able to get in homes for no money down.
Right.
And that caused a really big problem, as we all know.
The bubble busted.
Right, it did. So that caused a really big problem, but it depends on what type of loan you're getting. If you're doing a FHA loan, it's 3.5% down. If you're doing a conventional loan, it may go anywhere from 3 to 5 to 15, just depends on the type of loan that you're getting. VA veterans, they do not have to bring any money to closing. So it depends on the type of loan, your lender, whether you're receiving assistance or not. So we say between 5 and 9%, but it may be lower than that depending on what all you're getting.
Okay. Is there any other information that you want to share with those who are watching today that we haven't covered?
Absolutely. One of the things that we're doing at Champions Realty, like I said, is taking the time to educate people. So we do have classes for first-time home buyers that are going on the third Friday of every month at Capitol Title on Dowland Road. That's right before you get to HEB.
Okay.
On the right-hand side. It's in the strip center where Black House White Market is.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are every third Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. There's a realtor there, a lender, title company, appraiser. So you're able to interact with all of these people and get the information you need and get an overall picture of the home buying process.
I truly believe that that's so important that the people who are watching are educated into how this process really works, because
Absolutely.
many people have misconceptions
Yes.
when it comes down to purchasing a home.
Yes, they do. And then another thing is I now have my own radio show. That happens every Thursday from 7 to 8 on 409 The Heat. You're able to download the app to your cell phone. Just go to either Google Play Store or either iTunes, and you can download the app and listen in 7 to 8 p.m. Send me your ideas, topics that you want to see covered, and those will be on upcoming shows.
Wow, that is wonderful. That
Thank
is
you.
wonderful. Well, listen, I want to thank Shani for coming today to share with us some great information on the housing market. Right now, it's a seller's market, she says. And if you're looking at purchasing a home or selling your home, listen, get in contact with her. Look, her information is right there on the bottom of the screen. All you have to do is just pick up the phone and give her a call. So I want to thank you today for joining us on what's happening in our neighborhood, and we will see you next time on the broadcast.